Welcome back to Stranded in Pittsburgh. A little bit of a sabbatical last week. We were moving the Stranded offices about 45 minutes north, but I'm here now. Jack and Ethan are still at their own homes. They're afraid to move. They're real mama's boys, so they're afraid to make the trek, but I promise we'll all be together
Baby
soon.
bird can't leave the nest. Can't I don't know how to fly yet.
Wow, he's not ready.
Fly.
You
I
have no
mean,
clue
doing
how
that
high he
launch.
can fly. Anyway, after a week off, we're coming back at you faster than Antonio Brown on McKnight Road with another exciting edition of the show this week. And while this will be a fun episode, we'll be having a lot of interesting discussions about the first part of the Steelers schedule, all the recent happenings in Penguins and Pirate news. Did want to start the episode off by sending our condolences to the family of one of the most well-liked Pittsburgh sports personalities ever in Mr. Stan Savran. I remember watching Penguins games growing up. He was always there. And one of the first people that I watched on TV who was like, that guy just makes me feel safe. It makes me like feel like I'm his friend and I'm not just watching some bigwig on TV. I don't know if you guys had the same impression of Stan, but again, to be well-liked in the Pittsburgh media market's a tough task, and he seemed to have exceeded all expectations.
Everything you hear about Stan Savran from everyone that he knew, everyone he worked with, he was a joy to be around. A guy who truly loves sports and tennis, which I found out, big tennis guy. But he introduced an entire region of the country to hockey in the early 70s and 80s. He ran one of the most successful local intermission post-game reports with Sports Beat for a number of years. This guy was a Clevelander who turned into one of the most genuine Pittsburghers of all time, and he's dearly missed in sports media. You know, all you have to do is ask around once or twice. Anyone who's interacted with him, it's one of the nicest people you could have met in the market, from what I hear. And again, Nick, you said it, just a calming voice, and he did so much work with the Pittsburgh Steelers radio network that, I mean, he ran those post game shows well into 1 a.m. sometimes. And he said his dedication wasn't to any organization or any owner. It was to the listener and the caller and the fan. And that was what he cared about, giving a good product for. And the sports media world lost a true local legend in Stan Savran.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna be sorely missed. Just Jack, like you said, just from all of his years, me coming back from just Steeler games to just listen to him on the radio with for all of those years, it was just that voice that you always are looking forward to before the games or after the games, and whether that be the Steelers, the Pirates, or the Penguins, he was always there, and he was just such a great guy. Not just on the air but also off the air as well. From the countless stories that have been told over the past several days, and just he's going to be very, very sorely missed.
You know how good at your job you have to be? Jack touches on this, and we know what he just said, but you know how good you have to be to come to Pittsburgh from Cleveland before social media and people can really feel you out based on, what your own brand of yourself is. He came over in probably the 70s or 80s. I can't remember what I read when he actually got here, but that's
Might have been the early 80s, late 70s.
That's like meet Steelers-Browns rivalry right there. And he came from Cleveland and became a cult legend in Pittsburgh. It's a hell of a feat.
Yeah.
Hell of a feat. Not many people could probably have done that, but Stan did. And everything he did with class and dignity and respect to the product and, as Jack said, the viewer. And just a tremendous loss here in the Pittsburgh community. But we'll do what Stan did best. Not anywhere near his level, but we're going to talk some Pittsburgh sports over the next half hour or so. But again, our condolences to all his family, friends, and all the people he worked with through the years who, got to call him a colleague. And we'll now, again, tough to start with sad news because you can't segue out of it with dignity. But we're going to now talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. And there's a lot to unpack here. We were going to do a lot of Steelers stuff. We teased the Steelers schedule breakdown. We will do that the first 3 games we'll do 3 games at a time here until the math doesn't work out. Then we'll switch the math. But so much Pirates content to talk about. Vincent Velasquez is gone. Roansy Contreras is being moved to the bullpen. They called up Osvaldo Bido today to start the game. I mean, Ethan, you're the Pirates guy through and through. I think it's through and through. I don't know why I said true and true, but you know what? Moving takes a lot out of a man. Ethan, what needs to happen here with this pitching core, rotation or bullpen, to keep the Pirates playing competitive baseball? What are the steps you need to take?
I think it's trying to find some cohesion now. There's been so many injuries over the past several weeks, and they just need to find some consistency where they had it back in April. Obviously, they're not going to pitch as well as they had back in April because they were putting up some gaudy numbers, but there's just been so many injuries, so many hiccups along the road over these past several weeks, and especially in the month of May and now going into June. Velasquez was injured. He comes back. He gets injured again. He's now out for the year. There's a lot of questions in that rotation, but I think even a bigger key is the consistency aspect of it as well. I think that's one of the things that's going to be crucial down the stretch here is trying to get consistent starts. Obviously, Mitch Keller struggled over his past several starts. He started to pick it back up and had some success against the Mets on over his past several starts against them. And then he had found some consistency against the Mets, obviously struggled against the A's, but you're going to need to have that consistency. Oviedo is getting there almost to the point of, he's a solidified starter in the rotation. There's not a lot with Ortiz right now. He's, hit or miss from time to time, but, they're just going to need to find some more consistency there in the rotation for them. But, just to trying to get some help, trying to get the help from the rotation, get guys healthy, get them back. I don't know what the heck Beto is going to do tonight. He doesn't have the best numbers to back himself up in the minors, so it's going to be interesting to see how he is used tonight. Obviously, I would assume that it's going to be a spot start tonight for him, and then he'll be sent back down in the coming days, probably because they just need an arm or so, especially heading into the weekend against Milwaukee. But just overall, they just need to find some more consistency in the rotation, and I think the light is at the end of the tunnel there for them, and hopefully they can get over the hump.
If you're wondering why Ethan got a case of the giggles there, Jack was just doing something very humorous on camera in terms of controlling a home situation with his canine, and it was quite funny to watch. So don't think Ethan just has a case of the post-rant sillies there. It was very humorous watching Jack try to wrangle the dog there. But Ethan, while you were
just
talking...
humor comedy.
Ethan, as you were talking there, Pirates got Beto a nice early 3-0 lead so far. Santana homered as we were as we were chatting here. Now, Ethan, I know maybe you don't have ears to the ground, but what do you think is Roansy Contreras' road back to being a reliable young starter who maybe can just get over a hump of being, very, very below average?
Yeah, he did not look good against the A's on Wednesday. He got hit around, I believe. Only recorded 1 out, and he just didn't have it. His stuff last year compared to his stuff this year is completely different. He doesn't have that same oomph that he had last year. His pitches, especially his fastball, it seems like it's going a lot flat there. And he just doesn't have the same stuff. So I think, the bullpen's going to be a nice spot for him. Hopefully that he can, to the point of he can just, continue to work on his stuff, not be put into as much of a high leverage situation. Obviously, as a starter, you're going to be working through the order. He's not going to have to work through an order more than once. I would think he'll be a long reliever. He'll be able to eat up innings, but he won't work around the order over at least one time. I would think. So just to get consistency there for him, and hopefully he can work out of this rut, because his stuff last year was very, very good. It looked like, he was on the right path, and his development looked on the up and up there. But this year, he's just been all over the place. He had some good starts here in the early part of the season, and then fast forward to now, he's just lost his stuff. I don't know why they just didn't decide to keep him in the bullpen after Seattle, and then they brought him back into the rotation. I don't get why that was the move there, but they did it. But he just needs to find some more consistency out there, and I think the bullpen is going to be a good spot for him moving forward, at least for now. And then you'll see, maybe I'd say after the All-Star break, you'll get to see where you're at with him, and then go from there in what you want to figure out what you want to do with him moving forward after that.
And Mitch Keller bounced back from two poor starts against the Bay Area teams, the Giants and the A's. Looked very rough in both his outings against them, but then he played the New York Mets in their $5 billion lineup and only gave up a run. So at least there is one positive to take out of the current pitching core, and that's Mitch Keller seems to have got his swagger back, as Jay-Z once said. And we brought up Andrew McCutchen homering in today's game. Jack, it looks like you want to yell at me for making a rap reference based on my pasty white skin. Do you want to interject?
It's not that. I'm just saying, are we going to just forget about Rich Hill's outing against the Mets?
I was gonna say how
someone was Dick there, Mountain. And the someone was me. I saw.
You were there.
Yeah, which is why I didn't help you move on Friday.
That would have been nice to know on Friday, but it's better to find out 6 days later, I guess.
No, I went. I had a bunch of really sad people from New York around me on the third base line. I saw Brian Hayes go 5 for 5. Before the game, I checked. He leads the National League in defensive index at 7.7. I'm sure it's gone up by now. He's a full point ahead of the second best. I forget who it was. But the pitching is a problem. I tuned into the Cubs game last night after I watched the Cup final. And I was like, oh, it's 3-2. And then Ramirez fell apart. And then Zwisfi came in and he fell apart. And it was just domino effect of pitching. If only that's the domino effect worked that well.
Maiden name, because that's a nice Polish last name too. And they just start with a letter and say some consonants. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, it's just a lot of, Z's, Y's, and consonants on top of that. But there's definitely some issues there. No idea how the game's going to go tonight. But I don't think we should be too sour about the A's series, because they are 7-0 as of tonight. So, you know what? Silver lining, you drop 2 out of 3 to the A's, but you do beat the piss out of the Mets. So a little bit of give and take there. Granted, you're not going to score 14 runs every night. Also, in a real game, giving up 5 runs in the 5th and the 9th inning isn't great. So I really don't know what the pulse is with this team. Haven't really been able to gauge it since May started. All I know is I've seen 2 really good Rich Hill outings, also seen some bad ones. But I'm gonna bet on Rich Hill until he tanks the season as much as everyone else is. It's not Rich's fault. Rich Hill apologist at this point.
I think it was Rich Hill who said, don't judge me based on my winners, but judge me based on my losers, because there's so few of them. I'm pretty sure that was him, and definitely not a famous Ponzi scheme artist. But anyway, we had boots on the ground at the big game where McCutchen got his 2000th hit. Ethan Morrison was there. I'm a little upset I'm not, because I don't think.
Oh, I saw 1999, so I feel like it's a little more important.
That's when Jack was born too. There's a lot of sentimental value there. Anyway, Ethan, why don't you talk about how you saw my childhood hero make history while I was moving boxes around, because Jack couldn't help me because he was at the game the previous day. I was a little tired.
Yeah, it was a good moment, and just for him to do it back at PNC Park. and to do it in front of the hometown crowd, I mean, just made it the day even more special. And it was a long time coming. I know he said post game he thought that he was going to get 2,000 hits like 7-8 years ago, and he didn't think it was going to take this long. And just to work through what he did to, which was even more amazing and astounding for me to see, just the week that he had during that homestand of just staying within himself, not trying to do too much, and just let the game really come to him. He worked so many walks. I think he had 11 walks throughout that entire homestand. So he just played the game, and he was just he just let the game come to him, like I said. And when he got it was a perfect pitch, lined it right into left field, and that was that. And just for the standing ovation, the crowd was just roaring, and it just was so happy and excited that he finally was able to hit that mark and back in Pittsburgh, and just to do it there was just even more special. And I mean, yeah, it was just an amazing moment. And there's not much, you can't be more happier for this guy, especially having his family there, and just to do it in front of the home crowd. I mean, there's not much more you can ask for. And to do it in the last game too of the homestand was even more special. But a great game. And yeah, I mean, he still is producing, which I didn't even think that he was even going to put up the numbers that he's been putting up this year. So just to see all of that, and for him to be still producing at a high level is just even more special.
Yeah, I think this was just a great moment for Pirates baseball to lose the first perennial star you have in decades. Have to watch him play for the friggin' Yankees during a playoff push one year. It was just awful seeing him go. Granted, we got Brian Reynolds out of the deal, so maybe all wasn't too bad. But to see him back home and hitting 2,000 hits, which a lot of people I think are trying to diminish the accomplishment, maybe because it was dragged out for so long, where he was just sitting within like 5 hits for a week or so. And it kind of got dragged out, and people were kind of overblowing it, I think, to an extent. But I don't think it should have taken away from the accomplishment. There's like 5 or 6 active players with 2,000 hits right now. It's not automatically going to get them in the Hall of Fame, but it's something that a lot of guys don't ever reach even half of that sometime. So to see him get 2,000, I think it's a good testament for, that he's still here, still producing, as Ethan said, and he's still making an impact. This isn't just a farewell tour little victory lap, as Jack O'Brien's done many victory laps in his life for other contexts. But, McCutchen's here. He's made it clear maybe this won't even be his last season. He's producing, and the fact that he's breaking milestones here in Pittsburgh is kind of a screw you and screw anybody who kind of doubted what my, reasons for coming back were here. I was expecting a snappy jab from Jack O'Brien right there, but
no,
very well tempered on his end tonight.
Had some dead air, and I filled it. That's what I'm here for.
Nice. This show could be dead air, and no one would tell the difference. Anyway, more on McCutchen later, because next month will be the 10-year anniversary of my Make-A-Wish with Andrew McCutchen. And if you don't think we're going to go into a deep dive of that, because I'm a little narcissistic at times, and because I just think it's very important for me to sit down and talk about the trauma in my life and talk about how Andrew McCutchen helped with that, you're out of your mind. But now
I'll be giving an outside analysis of the entire event.
Andrew McCutchen. I saw this little red-headed schmuck walk in the door and said, oh, no. Anyway, Pittsburgh Steelers schedule breakdown. It's hard to get in that rhythm we talked about the first couple episodes when you take a week off. It really is. Steelers' first 3 games, we're going to do the whole month of September here. They start with the 49ers, go to the Browns, end September against Jimmy G and the Raiders. We'll go and just give our predictions. I think they go 2-1 here. Think they'll beat the 49ers. Don't care who the 49ers quarterback is. Yes, maybe even Ben Roethlisberger himself allegedly had the opportunity to play with them during their playoff push last year.
No, he didn't.
Really doesn't matter.
He's a liar.
Super talented team. But I think Pittsburgh, it's their first home opener. uh, week one home opener, I guess, would be the correct terminology in what, almost a decade or so.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to make it count. They've made some great moves this offseason. I think Pittsburgh comes out with a little more of a chip on their shoulder. And I think that's just a gritty win. It's going to be an ugly Steelers win. And the same could be said for the Raiders game in week three. The Raiders always seem to give the Steelers trouble, but not last year because, damn it, it was the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and Pittsburgh was not going to lose that game.
And it
And
was negative 45.
I think they'll continue that success against Las Vegas. I want to call them Oakland. I might have just called them Oakland a couple of seconds ago, but it'll always be Oakland to me, damn it. But I think they edge past the Raiders here. Uh, I think Jimmy G kind of proved he could still go last year. This is all off the cuff, but I don't think he's going to have much of an answer for a more upscaled Pittsburgh defense. I think the Browns and Steelers split this year. I think the Browns win the first matchup, much like last year. That's all I have going into that one. But yeah, 2-1 start for the Steelers.
I mean, I want to say all wins, but honestly, I feel like I don't know. I just like I was at somewhere and they had NFL Network on and they were breaking down the Rams schedule and they got the Steelers game and they marked that as a win and they got to the Browns and marked that as a loss. And I was like, do you really think the Browns are a better team than the Steelers, like matching up against LA? Because I wholeheartedly don't. Um, it's hard for me to just. They probably will split against the Browns. They're going to split with probably everyone in the division besides Cincinnati if they can even play a tight game against the Bengals this year, which I hope they can. But the 49ers, I think they win. It's just the 49ers defense was good. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain it this upcoming year. Again, whoever the quarterback is, they'll have a great first three quarters. And then Kyle Shanahan's illness that just seems to come in the fourth quarter of every game will hit him, and the playbook will dry up, I'm assuming. And again, it's a Steelers home opener. I highly doubt they're going to not put their best effort forward. If they do, you're going to have some of the best calls of the season after the game, though, because that will be the death of everyone's Steelers season. As far as the Raiders go, I don't know if Jimmy Sicily has it in him. We'll see. We'll see how well he's able to play in a new system, whether he's adjusted well. But I did say the last time we were on, I'm going to predict all wins, so 3 wins.
There you go. Yeah. I've got them going 2-1. I got them winning the home opener on opening day. Obviously, it's their first one in a long time, and they always seem to come out strong in that first week, and hopefully they can get out there. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of additions, and the draft class coming in seems to be very, very strong. So you hope that, Kenny Pickett is, ready and rare to go. He has, his linemen now. He's got a nice offensive line that could protect them. So I think you're gonna see some things, start to gel together. Obviously, it's gonna take some time. So it's gonna be a classic Steelers game of they're gonna, hold on until the end and then they'll somehow pull it out. So they'll get that game. And then I think they'll win it against the Browns at home. They'll split the season series, but they'll win against the Browns in week 2. It's a Monday night game. It's a primetime game. And yeah, I don't know. I think the Steelers will come out, and especially with, being home back-to-back weeks, something that's, a rarity in the NFL is teams playing back-to-back home games, it seems like. The Steelers get that, and I think they'll come out with the win there. And obviously the Vegas game scares me on so many levels because it's obviously the Raiders, and they're always a tough task, and they're never easy. And it seems like every time, whether it was at the Coliseum or now at the new spaceship in Vegas that the Raiders play in. It's gonna be it's the Roomba vacuum. It's gonna be a tough game for them. It's a Sunday night primetime game. So I think the Steelers will drop that one, but a solid start for the home schedule for the Steelers, but they'll drop that game in Vegas.
All right. All right. So what was that 1-2 for? Or no, that was 2-1 for all of us. But Ethan wanted to be different. He's
No,
not
it was
like most
3-0.
girls. He's
No, Jack was
or no,
3-0.
Jack's 3-0.
3-0.
I was trying to make another lame joke. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a horrible feeling they're going to end up 17-0 on Jack's scorecard. Just a horrible feeling.
If I'm right about
inside
victory lap to end all victory laps.
The worst was that that to the house pick'em show we did where we
Three Joes talking, you mean?
where Jack said I'm not picking against the Steelers till they lose, and then they started 11-0. That was I was
tough. On it. What do you want to say?
You were. He's a trendsetter.
I know ball.
He knows ball. He really does. Moving on to the Penguins. Congrats to Phil Kessel, now 3-time Stanley Cup champion, and Teddy Bluger on getting a ring. Nice to see. Would have been nice to see him on the ice, but
I'm happier for him now than I would be with him flaming out against the Blackhawks like he would have with this team. He's a great role player. You give me 5 Teddy Blugers, I give you a Stanley Cup wrapped tightly as a Subway sandwich. He's a great fit on almost any NHL roster. I'm glad that he got to be a part of this. Phil, he broke the Iron Man streak this year. He's an easy Hall of Famer now, and I love how after in the press, in the post game, he's on the ice, and they're like, "What does it feel? You have 3 cups now, Phil. How is it?" And first thing he said was, "It reminds me a lot of my time in Toronto and how you guys said I just couldn't win, and I'll leave it at that." And then he left because Phil doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't have time for your bullshit. Phil Kessel's out there winning hockey games, winning cups, and just putting Steve Simmons in a body bag every single day after he left Toronto. And I saw the last thing Steve Simmons wrote about Kessel in Toronto, and it was something snarky headline, and the byline, like right under his name, the very opening little abstract was, "Well, the hot dog vendor on Front and John Street just lost its most reliable customer." And then Kessel won 3 cups after he wrote that. So, Steve Simmons, quit your job. You stink.
Wow. Speaking of Toronto, Kyle Dubas is bringing some buddies over in terms of Jason Spezza, who's the assistant GM. The only thing that makes you go, wait a minute, is the fact that they don't have a GM. It's going to be, I'm Dubas's right-hand man, but they need an official job title. But fun little game they're playing there in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so here's the thing. Dubas isn't going to hire a GM. Dubas is going to hire a team of associate and assistant GMs and not really name one, because Dubas is not going to give up the decision-making power. That's what he got into this for. And they made him – the title is different. It was something about he was still under contract with Toronto, and he couldn't technically be a GM before July 1st or something. It's a really stupid technicality. The point is, Dubas is the president of hockey operations. This is a title the Penguins have only had 2 times in their history as a franchise. The first one was Burke, and Burke didn't go to work. Burke didn't even come in. So Dubas is essentially the general manager. He is the head executive of this team. He's not going to give up that decision-making power, and this is just like what Rutherford did during the back-to-back runs. He had a team of Jason Botterill, Sam Ventura, and Tom Fitzgerald, all of which are either GMs or assistant GMs right now in the NHL. You build a good team like that under you and have those guys go and do the research and find those guys, and then you make the decision whether or not you're bringing them in, what you're sending out, and who's managing your cap. I think that's what Dubas's vision is right now for the team. This wasn't really like, a surefire thing Spezza was going to come, but it is a layup because Spezza resigned the day that the Leafs pulled the rug out from under Dubas, and he was going to go with him wherever. Now, I mean, a lot of people in the YYZ area are a little upset about this because they were like, I thought Spezza was a blue and white guy through and through. Yeah, well, he needed a job, and he left the one that you gave him because you pulled the rug out from under the guy he went in with, and the reason that he went in and managed the team with him. He was there in the press box every day with Dubas, watching the games, masterminding that Toronto team and the pieces they need and the needs that they addressed. There's a reason that they brought in goaltending and they brought in two solid defensemen at the trade deadline and Jake McCabe and Luke Shen. That was a hole in their team. So they're able to see the needs the team has and address them because we just saw them do it the past season. Dubas has been doing it for a while, but him and Spezza work well together. I'm happy about this hire. It shores up that front office, and I really do think that if Dubas is going to bring everyone from Toronto, because we're not just making a Toronto West, but like this is a good start. This is a really good foundation for what this office is going to be, the work that they're about to do, and everything that's going to come along with it. I think this is a great move. And again, it's so nice to have people who care.
Big enough to matter, small enough to care. Fenway Sports Group. Anyway, I might have stolen that one. Rod Barajas of the week. Rod Barajas of the week. We're going to stick with the ice. We did Steelers. We did Pirates.
Darius Kasparaitis.
So this one, we're going to be with the Penguins. I'm going to put this at difficulty level medium because I remembered this guy, even though he wasn't a very prominent fella. I'm going to put it at medium. Medium for Jack, hard for Ethan is my guess going into this. All right. 2-0 Ethan, though. So this is a good opportunity for Jack to claw back into contention for being our Rod Barajas of the Week inaugural winner. So if you guys are ready, we'll get right into the facts. I also read his name to begin the
fire away. Give me the name.
Detrimental to the whole operation. This guy debuted with the Penguins in 2008-2009. Last played for them in 15-16, but left in between. One-time Stanley Cup champion. He's a defenseman, and his career ended in 2018-2019 with the Dallas Stars. Did any of that repeated? Should have paid closer attention.
I think I know this.
Ethan's thinking hard. Ethan, it's not Brooks Orpik.
No. Of course not.
Wait. No. I know exactly who this is.
We'll wait for Ethan to lock in.
I have no idea.
Are you going to write it down that you
no.
Or you just
I am torn between two, but I think I'm going to go with the first guess.
All right, we'll wait. Ethan,
I don't know if he won.
I have no idea.
Has no idea.
He has no idea. I have two guesses. I'm fire off the first one.
Uncontested.
My first guess is Alex Goligoski.
Oh, yeah. No.
Is that Niskanen?
No.
Then fuck me.
Ben Lovejoy.
No. Oh, I'm an idiot. He finished with the Stars?
That's what Hockey Reference told me. I didn't know it either. I just remembered him being with the Devils after he left, and that was it.
You know what you should have thrown in there? His face swelled up like a balloon on the plane.
I almost put in he replaced Jeremy Roenick for a bit after he implied he wanted to have a threesome on air or in a Spit and Chicklets interview, but I decided not to do that. This has been Stranded in Pittsburgh. Occasional comedy, occasional research, constant opinions. That's a good tagline. We'll see you next week. Thanks for checking us out.